The objective of Lab 3 is to get the students familiar with the abilities of importation of data sets into GIS. So different kinds of data sets like Excel or, in the past we worked with the CSVs and the text files. So in this web video, we're going to see how importing into GIS works out. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to our Blackboard site and get our Excel spreadsheets. We're going to get the Excel spreadsheets from the Lab 2 files from last week, and there's going to be 2 spreadsheets in that zip file. And so what we're going to do is just click on the lab file, choose download file, and download the Lab 2 files. Just go ahead and open the files. You don't really need to save zip files. And once you open it, extract all your files to your H drive. So H Lab 3. We're also going to get the Lab 3 files from Blackboard. And that's just the same process of just clicking, opening, and extracting to our H drive. Okay, now that we extracted them, let's go check out what our Lab 3 files look like. So I'm going to go to my computer and open them up in my H drive. The H drive is your first one that shows up with your EID. It is H, but you just don't see the letter H. So I did lab_3, and now I can see what I've extracted. Just going to change this so we can look at them. And if we look at the different files in here, we have places, the Excel spreadsheet, US concise spreadsheet, and this USPS state codes. We're not going to really need USPS state codes, so we can just go ahead and delete those. So if we open up places as our first one, and we see this spreadsheet here, we'll see that this is all the census places, and we have a latitude and longitude here. This latitude and longitude is already in decimal degrees and will be easily added into ArcMap. But the thing is that we're only really interested in working in Texas, and as we can see here, this is census places for all the 50 states. So what we're going to do is use our filter tool just to filter out Texas. So if we click on the state column and choose filter, we'll be able to do things that will filter out only Texas. The filter tool can be found here on the ribbon for home called sort and filter, and then you click filter. After you see your F column with the filter tool on, you'll have this little drop down menu, and right now you can see that we have everything as shown. Now the different values that are in this column will show up as optional things to turn on and off. We're going to turn off the select all and have select none, and then we're going to scroll down to TX, and that's going to be Texas. And when we hit OK, then we end up with only the Texas stuff. What I want to do now is I want to select everything that is being shown right now and copy it. So I just click on this right corner here, that selects everything, and then either I can right click here and say copy, I can do Control C, or I can click on this copy here. Once I have it copied, these little things will be highlighted, and this little dancing kind of line will happen. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to open up a new spreadsheet. So I use the Office button, New, Blank Workbook, and I say Create. That makes a new blank spreadsheet, and then I'm going to paste that into here. Just click on the first one and then click Paste. This will give me all my values of just Texas into one spreadsheet. I can spread these out a little bit just to see them better. And I can see here latitude, longitude. If I want, I can just go ahead and delete out certain things that I don't need to make things clearer, or I'll just leave it alone. So I'm going to save this as now as Texas. So I'm going to go to H drive, my lab 3 folder, and then I'm going to call this Texas places. TX places. Because I took the places Excel workbook and made it just into Texas. Save this. So basically now I took my places and just found Texas. And because in this exercise we're just going to want to look at the Texas centroids. So this is going to be fine. So we're going to close this now. And close this places. And when it says you want to save changes, we don't need to save changes on this one. That was our raw file set. So now if I look here, I should see Texas places, which I see here. So now we need to do the same thing with our US concise data set. So let's just go ahead and open this in Excel now. And then we're going to see here, instead of having Texas state codes, we're going to have full state names. So we do the same thing with the filter tool. So we click on the E column, sort and filter it. This will let us, again, choose just Texas. So I choose Texas now, and again I end up with just Texas. Now I can do the same, select all, if I click on the corner, copy, make a new spreadsheet, blank workbook, and then paste it. Now I have the Texas concise. One issue though here is that our long and lats that we have in this one will not work in ArcMap for our add XY data, because our add XY data only takes decimal degrees. So what we need to do is make a new column for each of these lats and longs that will add our decimal degree version of this. And you can see here we have lat degrees, lat minutes, lat seconds, and then the hemisphere that it's in, and now we need just a full latitude in decimal degree. So the way we're going to do that is that we're going to insert a column here by right-clicking and saying insert. So if you right-click on any column in Excel and you choose insert, it will add a blank column there. We want to do that here and call this latitude. We're also going to want to do that for our longitude, because our longitude is also degrees, minutes, and seconds. So we're going to right-click here where we have elevation and say insert. That's going to add a blank, and then we're going to call this one longitude. Great, so I dragged it now all the way to the bottom. I can see that it still continued to only add up the ones next to it. Perfect. So now let's do longitude. Go back up to the top of your spreadsheet and you'll see here in longitude, we're going to use the same formula as over here. But the only difference is that since we're in the Western Hemisphere, we're going to have add a negative sign to longitude. So, but the thing is that since this cell here, the way we expanded it down, we can also copy and paste it here. So I'm going to copy this cell, and whenever I paste it into longitude, it's going to paste that formula, not the value, into that cell. So then it starts adding this up, adding that one up, and adding that one up with the conversions, because it's in the same relative positions to that cell. So if I click on there, perfect. Now the only problem is it needs to be negative. So I'm going to modify the formula by going and putting parentheses around the whole thing, and multiplying it by -1. When I do that, I get my -97 degrees longitude, which is in the Western Hemisphere. So then I will go to the corner, click on it, and drag down again to expand it out. And that's going to expand out my Excel spreadsheet formula down all the way through. So I dragged it all the way down to the bottom, and now I have expanded it out. And if you see, everything still works perfect. Great. So now I will save this Excel spreadsheet as, and call it, go to my H drive, and then I'm going to go to my lab 3 folder that I'm working in, and then I'm going to save it as TX concise. So now that's saved. So I'm going to close this, and everything is working out fine now. Do I want to save to my US concise? No, I don't need to, because I didn't change it anyways. So perfect. Now I have TX place and TX concise, and both of them are only Texas, so that's good. So now these are going to be ready to be imported into ArcMap. So on the next video we will import these into ArcMap.